Welcome back to another episode of Looking Forward to It. Today is Sunday, August 14th. We're back here in Eorzea. We're here at Costa del Sol. And as you can see, we've struck ourselves a little group pose here. We're here doing this holiday event. It's the Moonfire Fair once again. And part of the event is that you can get yourself these fancy ranger outfits that you might recognize from some other famous show. It's slipping my mind at the moment, but maybe Erren knows.
I think you could say it's been in a number of certain shows in a certain genre.
It's all good. So we're gonna talk a lot about Final Fantasy 15 today, and I hope you're ready for it. Today's Sunday, the Sunday before Gamescom. But first thing that we're gonna do before we get started is have Erren just take a little bit of time to go through what's been on NovaCrystallis.com lately. So what's new?
We actually had a decent amount of news on the site last week, and most of it did center around Final Fantasy 15, which is why we're going to be talking about it. They released a bunch of new screenshots, and they showed a little more about chocobo riding and the different ways that you can camp or stay at an inn. The movie is coming out in what is it this week now in certain areas in the U.S.
Should be this week, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they've been promoting that. We've got some new clips from the movie up on the site in English, which look pretty great, and they released a new short album with some theme songs that are going to be in the game.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and talk about all of that, and it's going to be a pretty good show if you're a Final Fantasy 15 fan or anticipating it greatly. So I don't want to forget, I want to mention everyone that's with us today. I'm Tony Garso. I'm senior editor at Nova Crystallis. Erren, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello.
We have Michael,
How's it going?
and we have Mike.
Hello.
The gang's all back here, and we're going to go ahead and start with Final Fantasy 15. And boy, are my arms tired. And oh man, a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
A lot of drama.
Unfortunately, yes.
So Erren, I guess we'll have you do the honors, and without delay, let us know what's going on with Final Fantasy 15.
Well, right before we went into the weekend, there was a rumor that came out saying that Final Fantasy 15 is going to be delayed. It will no longer be releasing on September 30th. Instead, the game is going to release on November 29th. And at first, people seemed a little skeptical because there wasn't really any proof with the delay. But then, yesterday, there was an image showing marketing for one of the GameStop stores that they had to change some of the existing marketing for the game to the new November 29th date. So there's definitely that out there. And then several other places, like I think Kotaku confirmed it with separate sources, and Gameatsu confirmed it as well with their source to leak the original September 30th date.
So I guess, I mean, for a lot of fans, this comes as a surprise so close to the release. So September 30th to November 29th, that's, 2 months, not too long, after 10 years.
No,
So
it's not too long, but it's enough to make some people upset, it seems.
I also want to remind people that, it's Sunday night and, Square hasn't officially commented on this yet. But,
No, they
obviously we're expecting something soon, right?
Honestly, I think they'll make some sort of statement on the delay. Well, if it's happening today on Monday.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to keep our eyes peeled for that to see, what the official word is, maybe the official reasoning. But since we don't have that yet at the time of this broadcast, let's go ahead and speculate as to why. So, Erren, you might have one or two theories as to why this might be happening, or do you think that this is just, if it's true that it's just one of those things that just happens over the course of development, like they felt like it just wasn't right.
Well, I mean, game development itself is actually really, really hard, and it's extremely unpredictable. So anything could have happened. They could have been working on polishing up the game and ran into unexpected bugs or something, game breaking to the point where they felt like, okay, we can't release the game in this state. We need more time in development. And considering, they put on that Uncovered event and they made a big deal about the September 30th release date, I feel like the problem that they might be having is so big that they said, okay, we have to delay this game. Even though we put out all this promotion already, we're making this decision. It wasn't an easy one.
So Michael, like judging by, what you've observed of all of the drama over delays and stuff like that, do you think like this is something that's killing a lot of hype, or what's your insight into the process? Do you think that there's something going on behind the scenes that's not going right?
Um, I think they've known about. I think internally they've known that they were going to probably need to delay the game an extra amount of time. I think they were waiting for the right time to announce it. I also want to point out that this week is Gamescom, and if they were planning on announcing it this week, they were probably going to do it during Gamescom during a trailer or something. They probably would have put out a press release saying, "Hey, listen, Final Fantasy 15 needs a little bit more time. It's now being pushed back to November 29th, and here is a new trailer to, whatever." Yeah, like, I don't know. It sounds, from what I've seen, it has to be strictly for technical issues. The game has had performance, or people who have played the game have reported the game has performance issues, numerous bugs, frame rate issues. At the Judges Week event, the game actually was crashing.
Mm.
It I don't think it's done anything as bad as that since then, though. But it people who've spent significant time with the game clearly have reported that it's not fully optimized, and I'm pretty sure most people who are playing it, other than the Titan demo at E3, I think most people are playing it on a PC build. They just pick which controller, Xbox One or PS4 controller for the interface. So if it's having trouble running on PC, I don't know. I don't know if that's 100% true. Like, I was gonna say that if it's having trouble running on PC, that doesn't bode well for the console, the final console versions when they're ready to go, because one, there's no PC version confirmed yet, one way or the other, and two, I don't know, the architecture in one of them might be, I don't know. They're all x86 based, I believe. They're the consoles, and so like Xbox One and PS4, so there shouldn't be any problem. Like the developing for PC builds to translate port over to the console versions pretty smoothly. Shouldn't be much problem there. So that's why I personally was a little bit worried about
Mm-hmm.
all the crashing and stuff like that. But yeah, I think they've known about this. The fact that they have that image is correct. The GameStop briefing image that
Mm-hmm.
shows that here's a sticker, put it over the
Mm-hmm.
already put together marketing stand to show the new date.
Yeah, we had all sorts of reports coming over like Twitter and social media saying, hey, like, such and such works at GameStop, or I work at GameStop and I haven't heard any of this. But it seems like, as things developed, that, it's looking more and more that this delay is actually true. So for, the purposes of tonight's show, we're just going to operate under the assumption that this delay is true. And we're going to probably expect something shortly from Square this week, before or during Gamescom. So Mike, I want to ask you, so considering what Michael said, it feels like this is kind of a blessing in disguise that the game kind of needs more time. So, does this dim your hype for it, or do you feel that, you know, okay, it's getting what it deserves, and, despite what, people say about, technical issues, do you think that this is an encouraging thing, the delay?
I mean, I think I'm disappointed like most people are when they first hear the news, but I think having more time in the oven is probably never a bad thing, especially with a game like this. So it doesn't matter to me like when it comes out, as long as it's a polished product. If it came out on the release date and it was in a state like Mike was saying before, that backlash may be something that you can't really recover from.
Well, we've had that situation happen before, haven't we?
I think I remember something similar like that happening a couple years back. Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously Square, hindsight's 2020 on Final Fantasy XIV's 1.0. So I think that they really, that would probably factor into this decision to, give it another couple months. What I want to know, Aaron, is do you think that, this 2 months that they're delaying this out for, do you think that's enough to, you know, take care of all of the issues that you've heard, Michael talk about?
Well, I mean, 2 months is a decent amount of time, but it's hard to say for sure without knowing exactly what their reasoning for the delay is actually going to be. Like, if they're going to come out and say, we're having this and this problem or whatever, then, maybe 2 months will be fine. But if it's deeper problems, like if the game is just fundamentally broken from like a technical standpoint, then maybe they need a little more time. The other part of this 2 month delay is now it's putting them at the end of November, and that's actually a pretty bad time for them now because before in September they kind of had that all to themselves. And now there's so many games coming out in November, especially the big hitters, and they're going to be going after Black Friday, and that's after a lot of people have spent their holiday money. So it's
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
almost I'd say it's actually almost better if they consider a delay into next year at this point.
Do you think, sometime next year, maybe January or February would be much better?
Yeah, February, March, maybe, just to, or maybe even April or May, just to sort of give it more time and get it on its own for a little bit.
Oh man, like people were kind of bending over backwards, flipping out about 2 months, and you think 6 months is probably appropriate?
Well, like I said before, it just depends on what sort of problems they're having.
Mm,
And
yeah.
like I said, the other issue is the new release date isn't exactly favorable. So they're kind of in between a rock and a hard place at this point.
Yeah, geez, like I didn't even think about that. Like that's after Black Friday. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, but I mean, you've got Call of Duty, Dishonored 2, the new Pokemon's coming out.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, there's a couple other things in November as well. So, people are going to be spending their money earlier in the month. What will they have for Final Fantasy 15 that's coming out right at the very end?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much like the Call of Duty and Final Fantasy audiences overlap, but I know that Square really wants to target like this mainstream audience with 15, and I don't know, maybe that might be
Yeah, I mean, consider that during the holidays you get the more casual audience who will buy a couple games at a time, and it's usually those bigger games that come out earlier in November.
yeah, so I mean, as hard as it is to see, like Final Fantasy might be like a number 2 or a number 3 on someone's holiday gift giving guide, and well, if you have to choose one, you know, might not be this game. And I'm, sorry to say for anyone who skips Final Fantasy for Call of Duty or Pokemon. Well, we've seen Pokemon kind of resurge in the last couple of months with Pokemon Go, so I'm sure that's going to drive a lot of interest into the new, what is it, the Sun and Moon version that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And Pokemon's still really big, so yeah.
I kind of had to laugh about this whole situation and like this delay thing, and it seems like a lot of people, and you'll be forgiven if you haven't kept up on the latest with this story, but it's kind of a similar situation with No Man's Sky and its PC version that just like it seems like that needed maybe 1 or 2 more months in the oven to get where it needed to be in a satisfactory state. And now we're here like literally not a week after that happened, and now we have Final Fantasy
Yeah.
15, and oh man, the tears are real. But I think personally that people are they're gonna come to their senses, hopefully most of them, and they're gonna realize, hey, and maybe Tabata, he could come out and say, we just need some extra time. Yeah, we know we said September 13th, or excuse me, September 30th at Uncovered, but we want to deliver like the best game that we can, so we need this, 1 or 2 extra months, maybe even longer if, what you said is a factor. I mean, people also understate like the power of, like you said, the release date. Like it'll come down to people deciding on what to buy for holiday gifts. Like maybe it does make a lot more sense to release after Christmas. I mean, that's when people maybe are returning gifts and have some more Christmas money, for example. Like they spend something, like maybe mom gets them like some crummy game, and they're like, well, I'll just return it and get something that I really want. And maybe they'll get like Final Fantasy 15. Maybe a January date makes a lot more sense in that regard. Or maybe something
Yeah.
after.
It's hard to say, but I feel like if they're willing to delay it once already, it wouldn't stop them from wanting to do it again.
I think a second delay kind of is that's a nail in the coffin of the game before it even comes
Well,
out.
I don't actually see. I actually disagree because a lot of games have been delayed more than once. Like more recently, Uncharted 4 was delayed what, like twice, 3 times.
I think so,
Okay.
yeah. And then No Man's Sky too,
And
that
No
was
Man's
delayed.
Sky was delayed a few times.
Deus
Well, this
Ex.
was delayed like 10 years though. Come on.
Well, to
Someone
be
had to say it.
fair,
I'm sorry.
Well, it's
to
true,
be
yeah.
fair, they never announced the release date before
No,
this
of
year.
course, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like I said before, if they're delaying the game, they didn't make the decision lightly, and if they have to make further decisions, I feel like they'll do it again.
So were you gonna jump in, Michael?
Yeah. Before I forget, though, there's a little bit more to this that it's totally unconfirmed, but plays into something else happening in September that I think is why some people
Oh.
might be a little on edge about the delay. There is speculation now that because the game will be delayed past its September 30th release date, it will fall into the time period of post Neo release. And there's some supposedly, Mr. Murray said about, or wait, was it Andrew House or someone said about Neo? I forget who, that they need to have any game released after Neo's comes out has to have a Neo edition or Neo optimized. So now there are some people speculating and becoming a little concerned that if it indeed comes out on November 29th, it'll be compatible with Neo and have a higher end Neo version which will run better. And they're like, wait, is the Neo version gonna be, if it comes out then and it can run on Neo, it has the Neo specs or whatever, is that going to be like the definitive smooth running version while the OG PS4 version has frame rate issues and stuff? Like it still plays, but it clearly has technical issues that aren't available on the Neo version, and that could possibly be part of the delay timing. Maybe
Do you think that makes sense?
once
though?
we find out on September 7th when Neo's coming out, I don't know. Like maybe Sony and them sat down and had a talk and were like, "Hey, you're having technical issues. Maybe rather than delaying it longer, like what if it needed more time to be smoothed out on the OG PS4 version? But if they were developing it in the PC environment and they knew what the Neo specs were going to be, and they're like, well, on the Neo kits we have, it's running pretty damn well. But OG PS4, it's having some performance issues that is going to take more time to iron out than, whatever. And what if Sony executives, this is like conspiracy theory level shit. Please don't take this seriously. But, Sony execs sit down with Square Enix execs and they're like, Neo's coming out on November like 29th or whatever, somewhere close to that. Have Final Fantasy 15 ready to go at that point with a Neo Spec Edition and OG version, and hell, we'll even maybe we'll do a limited edition bundle or something along with it or something. But they'll launch side by side, and 15 will sell even more gangbusters, and it'll help us move Neo consoles and stuff. But people who already pre-ordered for PS4 will still get their standard PS4 versions. I don't know. I think that would cause the backlash against that would be immense, I think, in my opinion. I'm still siding towards the game is just too rough right now, and they've known about it for a while, and I think they knew they needed 2 extra months for at least a decent amount of time now. They were just waiting till some point, where they knew they had to wait till some point to pull the trigger, and I think the closer it is to a release, but not a week of, a month before, it's we're just gonna push another month or two. Delays seem to always come a month or two before a game comes out nowadays. Hey, game's scheduled to come out next month, 2 months. Oh, it got pushed back a month or two. No big deal. Don't worry about it. What's another month or two? It's not a big deal. Announcing a delay earlier than usual, I think, hurts the game more in the end. People they have more time to stew about it and be like, it got delayed. I'm upset about this. Whereas, closer to the game, as long as it's not a long delay. Don't if you wait till a month before and you're like, oh, this game's delayed a year, they did with Zelda twice. Screw, that's not good. I don't know. My point was, I just wanted to bring up that with the September 7th of Neo event next month, and with TGS in September as well, don't discount that there could be some Neo shenanigans going on here.
Man,
nothing,
I hope not.
Nothing indicating that, but still a possibility.
I definitely think it's plausible.
Yeah, it's plausible. I feel like it's probably more on the technical side of things though, because I feel like there's a little more evidence supporting that, just because if you think about it, they haven't really been showing the console versions pretty much since E3. It's basically, here's a bunch of footage we captured from the PC development environment. Here's some screenshots that we captured from the PC kits, and they look really good, but they're not really representative of the final game.
So do you think maybe we get the PS4 version on November 29th and maybe some sort of definitive edition in spring next year for PS4 Neo and maybe PC?
Well, if those Neo rumors, leaks, whatever, are correct, if they release after October, they have to have a Neo version at launch.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the November 29th date means they absolutely have to have a Neo version on the disc.
Can you imagine if the development of this game would have started on the PS3 and then moved to PS4 and ends up on the Neo? Does that give anyone a sense of how much time has passed?
Well, technically, it, kind of did.
That's crazy.
And it makes me also wonder, November, it's pretty much the end of November, beginning of December that it would come out. And then if the other rumors about NX release are true of March, that's only 3.5 months, roughly 3.5 months after release that NX would be out. Makes me wonder if they might consider doing an NX version at that point. When it was coming out in September, I thought 6 months or roughly 6 months is too much time. Just don't even bother. Who cares at that point? But getting it that close, not that this isn't factored into the delay at all, but now I'm curious to see if this is true. Will there be an NX port of 15 as well, at least for launch? That would be interesting to see too.
Yeah, it's a lot to consider. If it's just on the technical side though, I'm really glad, and I just want to mention this again, but I'm really glad that it seems like they've learned from their mistakes from 1.0, Final Fantasy 14 1.0, because I just had this feeling I wasn't really sure if they were ready for September 30th, and I know that I don't really have much to back that up, but it seems like they were really kind of gunning towards that finish line really fast. And it felt like a lot of the promotional materials that we saw weren't really showing off enough of the game that I felt like they were really confident in it. I felt like a lot of the footage that we had seen so far was just so much of this, well, excluding maybe E3, but it's a lot of stuff that's in development. I personally love that we get to see this stuff, but maybe for like the consumer at large that's seeing all of this, you know, not ready stuff like that, I'm not sure if that gives them like a proper impression of like what the actual like image quality or maybe frame rate or all of that stuff. I mean, consumers probably on the large level probably don't care if like the image quality isn't pristine, but from what I've seen so far, and we have the World of Wonder trailer playing in the bottom third here. It seems like there could be quite a bit more, quite a bit more optimization efforts that they could go through. I mean, like, what do you, Erren? I want to start with you first. Like that World of Wonder trailer that you see, like, how did it strike you? And it seems like you had some thoughts about how like the image quality and like some of the textures looked. And I know it's nitpicking about very small things sometimes, but do you feel like there's more going on here than just being picky?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the video that they uploaded, I don't know what's going on, but I feel that there's a lot of compression going on, so maybe this isn't a fair judgment, but I don't
So
know. I
do
feel
you think that it was like maybe game footage that they captured from the PS4 version running at maybe like 720, and then when they
well, no, not even that. It's just like however they uploaded or
Mhm.
encoded it, it just turned out like really, really muddy, I guess. It just,
Yeah.
I don't know, it didn't look as clean as the other videos that they release. And so, like, when I was watching it, I felt, well, it looks okay, but I feel like some of the other videos that they released before definitely looked better.
So aside from like the graphical fidelity, I guess I want to talk about like just like the world that this sets up, this World of Wonder trailer. And Mike, what are your impressions? Like, this World of Wonder trailer, does this? I know that they've tried to set up a world that looks very realistic, but then has like all of these like fantastical monsters. Do you think that these World of Wonder trailers, have been selling that to you?
I mean, I don't know. I like a lot of that aesthetic sort of thing, but
Does it
I
do
didn't.
much for you? Not really.
Not really. I mean, I'm kind of already. It's weird for me because I'm already sold on the game, so I'm gonna pick it up, regardless of what
Hmm.
how bad it ends up being or how good it ends up being. But I don't know. My takeaway from these was I just like Florence and the Machine's music for it. I think
Oh,
it was a good choice.
we're definitely
That's
going to
my
talk about
biggest
that.
takeaway.
Yeah, I really like what they've done, and I guess we'll go ahead and talk about that now. So, Florence and the Machine, not only are they doing the Stand By Me cover for Final Fantasy 15 music, last week they uploaded a single album that has 3 songs. Um, and those are all songs that are inspired or made for Final Fantasy 15. And we're not talking about like this Leona Lewis My Hand stuff. And although she's a great artist and it's a good song, I think Erren might testify that maybe it wasn't the best fitting song for Final Fantasy 13.
No, it was awful actually. They just picked a popular artist and just stuck a song in the game because they wanted to appeal to the West and it has nothing to do with the game. So it was a horrible choice.
But for Final Fantasy 15, this is kind of a different story, where they're taking popular artist and kind of letting them have some creative will over what they're singing about for this game. And a lot of people I've seen so far that have been trying to dissect the lyrics or trying to already pull story elements out of it. and it's been pretty cool to watch. But it's nice that like this song has been created for the game. And the reason why I wanted to touch on this is because Erren and I have had long discussions about some of the other types of insertions that have been made into this game, such as the Coleman brand camping products and the apparently there are American Express branding or credit cards around the world.
I have no idea.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess nothing takes you out of it like seeing an American Express logo.
I mean,
Uh,
the Coleman stuff was bad enough.
so, like, I've done a lot of camping before, like when I was younger and into my teens, and so like Coleman stuff, like I have that cooler that they have. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, it takes me kind of like right out of it. Like in a sense, maybe you could say, oh, it's some sort of. I just think it's not clever at all, and that's I've had gotten some flack from this before, but like, the Rowan clothing, you know what I'm talking about, like the designs for the clothing. People are saying, Tony, like, why is that any different from like this Coleman or American Express stuff? And the thing about the Rowan stuff is, yeah, it's a plug for this dude who makes clothing, but the clothing comes from a creative place. These clothes are being designed for these characters and for this world, whereas this Coleman stuff, like an American
It's
Express,
just
like what?
product placement.
It's basically just glorified. And in Japan, like they call it collaboration now, which is there's nothing collaborative about it. It's just stuff that gets stuck into a game. And you know, I've been thinking about the Yokai Watch stuff that recently was in Final Fantasy 14, and you know, whatever. It's another RPG, and but you know what? I really don't like this stuff, and I really wish that in the future that this stuff would not. I mean, it's cool to do throwback stuff. I mean, as long as it's tasteful. Like, we had the lightning event in 14. We had, a couple other stuff like Final Fantasy 11 and Yokai Watch. Like, I understand Hino, like, he plays the game a lot, and I'm talking about Akihiro Hino, who is the CEO of Level 5. He's been on a few of the Letter of the Producer live streams where they update, like, what's coming to Final Fantasy 14. But I feel that, okay, guys, let's tone it down just a little bit. We don't really need this stuff. And I saw before we started the show today, we had Michael ride up in his little yokai watch mount, and I don't know. It's just I really wish that stuff would just not exist, or if they're gonna do it, just do it a little bit more tasteful. And so, like this, I mean, this American Express and Coleman stuff, it's probably the most egregious part of it. The sort of
Yeah,
product
I
placement
agree.
and kind of takes it to another level of uncomfortableness for me. And
Well, go ahead.
well, I mean, people are trying to invoke this fantasy based on reality nonsense, like that slogan that, well, hey, like, it's going to be like, all of this stuff is okay because, they're basing it on reality. And I'm just like, no, that's not what this means. And I feel like if you were to have like a fantasy world like Final Fantasy 14, but have like this weird American Express and woman stuff in it, like it would suck majorly, I think, for like the immersion in the world, but it wouldn't be as bad as something that was not it was based on the real world, but not the real. Because I feel like there's a very thin line of immersion when it comes to Final Fantasy 15 where it's inspired by the real world, but it's not. But yet seeing these logos from real world companies, I feel like it shatters that bubble of immersion. And to me, like, it's not the end of the world, but to me, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to buy the game and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it. I feel like there's a lot of worrying that we do. Personally, myself, I worry a lot about the game, but from what I've seen, I feel like the game's coming together, it's going to be in a good place by the end. Maybe not the best place, but I'm just hoping that I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. But this stuff, like, I really wish that they just, if I could go back and say, Tabata, no, please, just Resist if you can, or Matsuda, whoever. Like, man, that would be the one thing I could change about this whole development trajectory. Going back and saying, hey, like, this crap, like, just throw it in the garbage bin. Like, do something like this Florence and the Machine thing. Like, these songs are made for the game. They feel like they're talking about their characters. It feels like it's respectful, and it's using what Square wants, like a popular artist, to promote the game, and also being faithful to this game and this world and its characters. And when that integrity is compromised, I feel like you're chipping away at something that's very fundamental to what a lot of people see in Final Fantasy. Yeah. So anyway, not to go on too much of a rant about that yet again, but I really wish that there was some way we could.
I think
Yeah.
in the business world, it's called selling out.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said, though. I mean, I
Mhm.
like what Florence and the
Like-
Machine's done, and their music is really good for the game. If everyone hasn't checked it out, please do so. It's really good.
Like, what gets me about that whole collaboration situation is, like, it makes sense in games where the setting takes place on Earth, the place where we live in and these brands actually exist. But for those things to be put into Final Fantasy 15, it just, I don't know, it just feels fake. And I get the whole, like, immersion, oh, it ruins my immersion thing, and why are you complaining about that? But again, if they wanted to make something, they should have made something original for the game, like you said.
Yeah, like, the songs, the clothes, those are perfect. Like, I'm okay with that kind of. I mean, it is product placement in some extent, sense of the word, but it also comes from a creative place. And to me, that if you're respecting the game world, its characters, its story, that's okay. This Coleman stuff, I understand. Now, let me understand this. Gladiolus, his hobby is collecting Coleman camping equipment. I believe
Yeah.
that's one of his, like,
Yeah.
on the site. I don't know where this was. It was from some official source, but
Yes, it's official.
mm,
And
like, guys, what
I
are you
don't like
doing?
it.
That does sound like the definition of just fake. It's just like it's so
awful. It's really awful.
It's so
Like, I'm
cringy.
sorry.
It's so eye rolling.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
embarrassing.
I don't know, like, to me, like, I can't see anyone going out and buying Coleman camping supplies, but I don't know, maybe, like, if they, like, the cosplay scene, if they were, like, into that, and they wanted to set up, like, a cosplay camping, they wanted to, like, get all the legit equipment, they could go buy, like Coleman stuff off the website, like,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I just, like, I roll my eyes, and I wish it wasn't there, but we're just gonna have to deal with it, so.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just, as long as that stuff kind of stays away from the other games, I think we'll be okay.
Do you think this is the end of all of the? I mean, we also have Audi, too. That car.
That's actually only in the movie.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I think I
Yeah.
saw the Audi symbol on one of the cars that's being driven in the trailer. So.
Yeah, so that's actually only in the movie. It's not going to be in the game. And I think it's okay for a movie. There's a couple other things, I think, like Uniqlo and some other brand that's advertised in the movie. Like, okay, fine. You needed more money for the movie. I get that.
As long as it's not in your face and like, I don't know, offensive, like you said, like Gladiolus collecting Coleman camping gear. It's just the dumbest
I
sentence
can't get
you can
over
utter.
it. It's just so ridiculous.
I'm
I don't know.
Gladiolus, and that's my favorite Coleman camping gear.
This guy needs a hobby. This guy needs a hobby. What can we give him? Oh, we're gonna give him this camping collaboration.
He's the collaboration character.
That's all he does.
Well, how do you think he collects all of those Coleman camping supplies? He puts it
One
on
of
his
tattoos
American
on his body,
Express
just
card.
Coleman's logo.
Oh my god.
I want to
Oh,
see. I
man.
want to see Gladiolus using an American Express card in one of the stores to buy Coleman camping gear.
We can only hope.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's extremely tacky to me, and to me, I hate being harsh on this game because I feel like a lot of people over worry about it. But this is one of those things that it's a bit over the line for me. It's extremely uncomfortable that oh, like this Gladiolus thing. Like when I heard about that, that was like one of the first kind of real impressions that we've got about the character. Like we don't really know much about him. Like we just had like the episode of Brotherhood come out that's kind of centering around him and his younger sister, which I thought was all right. But I mean, this whole Coleman camping thing kind of like came out way before that, and like, what do we know about Gladiolus? Oh well, he likes collecting brand name camping supplies as a hobby, and okay, well that's it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Well, I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I know Mike, you wanted to possibly talk more about this Florence and the Machine, their collaboration. Are you a fan of them? Do you
I've
listen to
never
their
like
music
really listened to
regularly?
them too much, but I know of them, and I listened to a couple of their songs beforehand. But I don't know. I really like the theme song. Like I was also, let's just say, unimpressed with Final Fantasy 13's theme song,
Hmm.
but I really like, even if it's a cover. Their Stand By Me theme, I think, is gonna, if they make the game the right way, I think it's definitely gonna make me a little weepy. I just feel
Yeah,
it already.
and so yeah, that's like what you hit on there is kind of like the inner optimist in me. That I feel that that song and the other two songs are actually really good too. But I feel like it's so tonally perfect for what they want to do. I just hope that whatever's
Oh,
in
I
the
hope
game
it
is
gets there.
able to live up to because if you drop that song, like it's the songs have to be used in an appropriate way, like they've been used in Final Fantasy games before. There are a lot of songs that just they come in at just the right moment, like Red Dead Redemption, for example. Like I think when you first get to Mexico, like you get across the river and that song plays. That's like one of those perfect timing, like um, moments in the game where you just drop that. It's just perfect, and so I'm hoping that these are used well and not just used for the sake of you know having like a cutscene to highlight something that's basically using it because you have to use it rather than you're trying to use it at a key point in the game.
Right. It's about writing the story around this set piece versus like having this random thing that you're like, well, we got to get to this somehow, so we'll just say, okay, now it's here. Here it is. Instead, you want to like really accentuate a scene that's already going to be existing. You know.
So I guess all of us have listened to the songs here. So I want to go ahead and ask each one of you, and we'll start with Aaron. Of the three songs that they released, which one is your favorite?
uh, that's actually a good question because I don't know, like, it's kind of not very impressed by all of them, and I know that might be surprising. But if I had to pick one, probably the "Too Much Is Never Enough" one was
Hmm.
all right.
Yeah.
But
Do
yeah,
you
I don't know.
do you like their kind of music though? Do you like Florence and the Machine? Have you?
I'd actually never heard of them before they were announced to be in this game,
Hmm.
which might, look bad on me. But yeah, that's like the
Oh
first
no,
time I
you're
never heard of
terrible.
them.
So do you think Yoko Shimomura, who is composing for the game, and I'm sorry, I almost forgot Michael. Michael, and are you a big Florence and the Machine fan?
So I liked the song "No Light, No Light" or whatever the official
Hmm.
title of it is. The one that has the kind of the mix version, not the original one. Hang on, it's yeah. Okay, it is just called like "No Light, No Light."
Hmm.
I know if there was like different version of it or not, but I really like that song. And then they did a song for Game of Thrones like season 2, I believe they did the trailer for season 2 of Game of Thrones years ago. And I've said it before on this podcast. I'm just not a fan of the mixing of their music with 15. It is nothing against Florence and the Machine.
Mhm.
The music, their music's pretty good. You know, I like it. And if 15's good, it's I won't ever complain about it because it had Florence and the Machine. But I don't think the music fits. Yeah, I complained about it before. I just don't
Mhm.
think it fits. Period.
Yeah,
So
I agree with that statement. I still feel the same way after listening to their new songs, which I guess 2 of them are written for the game, but even then it's like, well, you have this great composer and she has done a vocal song for the game. So why are
Okay.
you doing this?
I
yeah,
don't
like
know, like Somnus though, like that. It's a vocal. There's vocals in it, but not really like the typical vocal. Has Shimomura, has she ever done this a songwriting? Like Kingdom Hearts has always had like Utada, and do you think that that's something that she really wants to do, or do you think that you know that they Tabata or whoever made the decision here, like they wanted a
I'm pretty
song,
sure it
but
was him, especially after hearing that Florence and the Machine did some Game of Thrones trailer. And I don't know if any of this is true, but I feel like he or somebody in the development team really looked at Game of Thrones, the people who like Game of Thrones, and they're like, let's start putting those ideas into Final Fantasy 15 because with the movie they changed like the way that Insomnia is instead of like the Yakuza feel. Now it feels kind of like this Game of Thronesy thing, and they got Sean Bean and Lena Headey, and it's like, okay, well, now you have Game of Thrones in my Final Fantasy.
so do you feel like they're kind of taking a look at what's popular right now with people in our demographic and
Most
saying,
definitely, I
hmm
definitely do, and I
I
actually
don't think
don't
it's a
agree with
bad
it.
idea. I mean, it's not that bad. I mean, it's clearly a grab for the Western audience, but like they've been really losing traction in the West for a while. The past couple games have not been really super well received over here, so I'm not too surprised they're kind of making Western
I don't
focus.
know. I feel like it feels shallow in a way. Like
Oh yeah,
imagine
sure, I can see that.
imagine if Final Fantasy 14, the next expansion, like Yoshi P's like, we're gonna put in, I don't know, Pink Floyd, and that's your theme song.
Okay.
and like which song are we talking about here?
Yeah, it depends. I mean,
Some of
I don't
them may.
know.
No, I'm just kidding.
Some of them could work, but I mean, my point is, it wouldn't fit the already established songs that they have in the game, which have a big lore focus and an established singer, and it's 15 already had established music, and they're sort of going against that with this collaboration.
so you like more of the purist type of thing and have like these songs written completely for the game itself, kind of.
Well, yeah, there is that, but also it's just like, well, you have this amazing composer, and you're not making use of them,
That
kind of
makes
thing.
sense.
So I don't know. It feels like we kind of have a line drawn in the sand here. We have me and Mike who like the songs and like the prospect of them being in 15, and then we have Erren and Michael who are not really feeling it, I guess. So Team Flow and Team No Flow.
I mean, I feel
Hashtag Team Flow.
like as by themselves they're decent songs, but I don't feel like Michael said that they fit Final Fantasy 15.
I guess we'll find out when it comes out, and we'll see how they use the songs. Maybe I'll end up agreeing with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they'll like how they'll fit with the scenes and stuff. So we'll see.
In November, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Or
Yeah,
potentially beyond.
potentially, yes.
So about Kingsglaive though, that's actually coming out soon, and as far as we know, Erren hasn't delayed that either. So,
No, that'd be kind of hard because Sony Pictures is actually handling the distribution on that one.
so uh, I hate to break it to you guys, but my plans for seeing this movie, well, they haven't updated much. If our listeners don't know, I do kind of live out in the middle of nowhere, so my chances for seeing this movie are about 0.
Well, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I don't really live in the middle of nowhere, and the closest showing to me is about 5 to 6 hours away.
But when can I see it? When's the first time I can see it without having to go to a theater?
So if you can't see it in the theater, they're gonna release it digitally on August 30th, and you can buy it on Blu-ray on October 4th.
That's pretty soon, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not that long of a wait, and to be fair, other countries are overseas already have the movie out. So, I mean, if you're worried about spoilers, they're already out there.
Yeah, I've been very careful not to come across a few spoilerific things that I've seen on my feed. I'm like, nope, not gonna look.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit I went all in. I already read basically the entire plotline, and I don't really mind. I'll just look forward to those moments even more.
And I guess it's part of being doing the whole fan site thing, and the whole you pretty much got to spoil yourself because someone else is gonna do it as you're looking for like scoops
Yes,
and stuff like that.
exactly.
So like I understand it's I'll say like I've been spoiled on a few things for Kingsglaive already. Or Kingsglaive. I'm sorry. By the way, I want to rectify that from our last episode because I called it Kingsglaive the whole time. Kingsglaive.
I felt bad trying to correct you.
You were trying to. Oh God.
Well, I just kept calling it Kingsglaive. That's how you pronounce the word.
Yeah, it's all good.
Well, I feel entirely humbled that I've been saying it wrong the entire time, and I'm actually a guy who's pretty big on pronunciation too. I've got a lot of egg on my face, I guess.
What kind of fan are you? Can't even pronounce the name right.
Yeah.
I'll have to take back my fan card.
As long as buy more Coleman brand camping gear, and you can get it back.
Better delete that Final Fantasy degree you got there.
I tweeted in response to some fun comments over the weekend. I tweeted a picture of my Quill Clear as my my unofficial Final Fantasy degree. If you feel that's appropriate, then I totally agree with you. So yeah, Kingsglaive, they've released a couple clips of it too, and so I'm gonna pull those up.
They seem to be from the beginning of the movie, so I mean.
Okay, that's good.
Not too spoilery, I guess.
So we're gonna play just one of them in the lower third here, but you obviously don't want to be spoiled on that. Look away if you can. So yeah,
right, I'm looking away.
Did you watch them at all though, Michael? Mike?
No, I refuse to. I actually want to go see it. It's playing 20 minutes away from me, so I think I'm gonna go try and catch a show this week.
You're lucky. You're so lucky.
That's what you get for living near New York, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
Even though I have to travel to New York to go see it, or whatever.
Oh.
Michael, you've got tickets too, don't you?
Yeah, it's showing. They finally have a theater very close to us in LA. It's in Beverly Hills. It's right by UCLA, actually.
Oh.
Anyway, the tickets went on sale today. They weren't selling them till today, apparently, because theater doesn't list Friday showtimes till the week of. It's showing. There's one showing Friday night that I bought a ticket to, but still trying to figure out when everyone wants to go. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night have been tossed out. It's showing Friday night at 9:55, or basically 10 p.m. And then Saturday and Sunday it's showing at 1:30 p.m. and 10 p.m. again. But we all agreed we want to see it at night, so just trying to figure out which day. But I bought tickets to the Friday showing just in case everyone takes too long to decide and it sells out. I'm like, nope, I got my tickets. Screw you all. Like, I'm gonna go check it out. You guys took too long to get a ticket. But there's like two other theaters. One in Ontario, which is about an hour and a half east of us, and then there's one in Orange County, which is about an hour south of where we are. So worst comes to worst, there's 2 other options within reasonable driving distance to go as a group if we want to go see it.
Well, it seems like you got this set up. Like, are you going with like the Easy Allies crew, or just like the personal posse, or?
Right now we're trying to get some of the allies to go, and not everyone has responded. And then we wanted to tell, like, we wanted to make an announcement we were going to go to X showing and try and get like other people to go see it with us and stuff. But I'm not too terribly sure if that's going to end up happening. I think it'll be very good or very fortunate for us if we all actually end up at the same showing together. See, has it even sold out yet? No, it hasn't sold out yet.
There's still time.
Yeah, I don't know if people know it went on sale yet or not. Like, we signed up for notifications to get it. We actually reached out to Square Enix to see if they would hook us up, but they actually never replied to us about this. I think it's Sony. I think because it's Sony, so they were probably gonna have to direct us to Sony anyway, and they were just like, whatever. We're not gonna reply to this. Like, it's whatever. We were basically trying to see if we didn't want free tickets. We were trying to see if we could get the information on final theaters, and could we maybe work out something where we guaranteed X amount of people going to a showing? Could we have those tickets reserved and we pay them, or anyway, to like basically make a group event type thing? And didn't really hear back about that. So we only emailed them like last week, so it was kind of short notice. So.
Well, you'll have to let us know your impressions of your theater experience of it, because I'll just be watching at home on my little TV screen.
Yeah.
That's okay though. I'll live. I think though, because my friends and I, like, we have like a yearly LAN party where we all kind of, like, 40 of us get together and we kind of hook up. We all break the switches out and have our network guys set up a huge network where we play games together. I've been thinking, maybe I could get away with putting it up on a projector, because it'll be out by that time, and so maybe we could have a little showing. Would be a cool kind of video game thing for our like 4-day long party. I'm thinking that'll be kind of like my way of not seeing it in the theater, but having kind of a fun theater experience. And then, of course, I'm going to get I have the, and I want to kind of segue into this because it's another topic that I think bears a lot of discussion. I did pre-order the Ultimate Collector's Edition, and that has Kingsglaive with it, which is great. But we did get some recent news that's making me pause and think about my decision. So, am I understanding correctly that, as far as we know, this Ultimate Collector's Edition doesn't come with this season pass that was just announced?
So, yes, they announced the season pass the other day. It's $25. They haven't said if you buy the Ultimate Collector's Edition, they haven't said if you get that with it or not.
So yeah, I want to know if that's in it, because that's a lot of money I'm popping down for that thing.
Yeah, I feel like if you're, what is it, $270?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Something.
Like, if you're paying close to $300, you should probably be getting that season pass.
I would say so.
It's kind of funny because I was looking at that collector's edition, the mid-range one that's about $100. No,
The $80 one, yeah.
Or yeah, $80, something like that.
Yeah, it's 80.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been kind of eyeing that and thinking, I could potentially live with that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the big thing you lose is the figure and maybe the art book.
Yeah, like I love art books,
soundtrack.
But
I don't know. I haven't really checked the other one, but that figure really kind of inflates the price of it.
And I guess y'all can speak for yourselves, but I personally, I'm not really a big figures person. Like, I caved and got the huge Heavens Word box, and I'm sure all of you guys did too. I think, but yeah, I pulled that little dragon out, and I was like, yeah,
Little dragon.
It is a little dragon. Like
It
I felt,
is.
I felt like when they first revealed it back at the Japanese Fan Fest that it was much bigger than it turned out to be.
yeah, I
I
kind of
remember
pulled it
when
out, and
my brother got that.
I think I turned it around a couple times. I was like, oh, this was worth it, and I kind of put it back in the box and kind of messed around with the other stuff. Yeah, I don't really. I'm not really big into figures. Like, this doesn't have anything to do with the play arts line or anything in general. I just to me, it's like now I gotta find space for this thing, and to me, I'll buy art books and soundtracks. Like, if you, I wish you guys could see like the stack of Final Fantasy 14 soundtracks I have. I have all 5 of the current ones that they've released, sitting on a stack, and I have the A Realm Reborn and Heaven's Ward art books sitting on my desk, and I page through them maybe once every couple of weeks because I really enjoy the art direction in Final Fantasy 15, and I really love like looking through and seeing a lot of these designs and where they came from. But I think figures and plushes are kind of not my thing. If I were to get like a collector's or a deluxe edition or whatever, that wouldn't be the number 1 or 2 thing that I would have to have. But like, do you guys, when you order like collector's editions and stuff, is that like a big purchasing decision for you? Like what's like the must have, do you think, that should be in like any collector's
Um,
or
Well, I mean, for me, buying a collector's edition really depends on the game. Like, it has to be a game that I really, really, really want
Mhm.
for me to put down that much money. And the other part of it is, what does it come with? For example, if it comes with a statue or a figure, what does the figure look like? Like, if it's kind of a lazy figure, then no, I'll probably pass on that one. But yeah, if it looks nice, then yeah, I'll probably get that one. But the main thing for me is probably a steelbook case, an art book, and like you said, some sort of soundtrack.
Yeah, I don't know. Like the soundtracks you get with those collector's editions, though, it's like it's a mini soundtrack, and it's like,
Yeah,
if I'm gonna get a soundtrack, I'm gonna get a soundtrack. I don't want these like mini like best of or whatever. Like I want
yeah.
the
I mean,
whole thing.
there is the rare collector's edition that does come with the full soundtrack once in a while, so they do exist. It's just not typically something Square does.
Hmm. For me, I have some stuff that came with figures and plushies. Like I actually bought a bunch of the 14 plushie stuff, um, just because it was all the cute minions, like the carbuncles. Like I really
Oh man.
wanted those. Yeah, the carbuncles are good.
So what do you do with those plushes now? Do they just sit on your
I
desk and
I have in we have a counter with some shelves, like some general purpose shelves. There's a counter on there. I literally have all my plushes on
Mhm.
there. Not just 14, but like all of them. Like I have like a Pikachu, I
Mhm.
have Cloud, I have a Nino Kuni one, some bunch of Studio Ghibli ones, and then all the 14, and they're anchored on each end by the big Gabu pillow, the
Oh
fat
man.
cat one,
Oh man, that's so
the
good.
the fat chocobo is on one, a heartless from whatever Kingdom Hearts HD one came with it, the collector's edition, and then I have the like where is it? All the different Moogle ones, like the post Moogle, and then the regular one, and then I have some Legend of Korra ones. Like I got Naga and uh, the Fire Ferret, forgetting its name at the moment, sort of the P. But
It's
yeah,
Pabu.
Thank you. I want to say Papu or Patsu. I was like, I don't remember which it is, so I'm just gonna say it starts with a P. Yeah, I have all those. That, and then I have a bunch of Zelda ones, but they're all still in their bags in a closet because they're collector's items. For collector's editions, what I look for, I'm with you in that most of them don't come with full soundtracks, so I don't give a shit unless there's like a special track that is only available through that version, like that like sampler is going to have like a remix or an arrangement. Otherwise, I generally don't care. I generally don't care about the art books because usually the full featured actual official art books include any of that art along with a lot more. So I tend to not totally care about those. Like for most JRPGs, like Final Fantasy stuff and like Tales series, like I buy all the art books like separately. Then I don't really care too much about the collector's edition. Usually it comes down to this: is the game Zelda or Final Fantasy? If yes, is it Final Fantasy 14? Yes. Does it come with an exclusive mount? Yes. Buying it. Don't care what it is.
Well,
is this
You're easy then.
I'll
like,
admit
was
that I did get one or two of those plushes. However, since I wanted them for the minions, what I did is at the end of the year last year, I went by Salvation Army and dropped them off because, like, what am I gonna do with it? Like, I really don't like them sitting around, taking up space, and it's not something that I feel is like with the space that I have that I really need. But I wanted the minion codes, so what I did is I dropped them off at
yeah.
Salvation Army, and I guess if that's something, if you feel similarly to me, I would kind of advise that since the holidays are going to roll around in a couple months, they probably would make really good stocking stuffers too.
Yeah. Pretty much any 14 item soundtrack art book you mentioned, if it comes with a mount or minion code, I was like, buy it, buy it, buy it. Don't don't care what it is. Gonna buy it. Um, real quick about the plushie stuff. My cats like the plushies. They will go
Oh,
curl up there and sleep with them and cuddle. So it's like
I could see
a
that.
makeshift bed. Although they fight the Gabu sometimes, like they get annoyed at it for whatever reason. Especially if they knock it down, they freak out, and then they circle around it, not knowing what it is for some reason, and swat at it, and then they just leave it alone after a second and go back. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. Um,
What about Fat Cat? They do they
Gabu because of how tall it is. It's like high, like and it's dark. I think it scares them, so it's like it's bigger than them, and it's dark. So they're like, "What is this?" Um,
That's cute.
but I like exclusive items in game, like mounts and minions, obviously. But the best ones, sadly, have been the two trashy Zelda Dynasty Warriors, the Hyrule Warriors games. The Japanese treasure boxes for both those came with them like replica items, like gold ocarinas, like
Hmm.
compasses, like the cape that Link wear, like came with physical items that was like amazing. I like those. I like when unique physical items come with this like special edition. Like was it Tales of Exilia 2 came with like a replica of the watch that the main character has, the pocket watch.
Hmm.
Like I kind of like that type of stuff. It's kind of cool.
So, Aaron, I have a question about that figure. So you can actually get this Noctis figure separately as a Play Arts Kai, but
Yeah, you
um,
can.
as far as I know, the difference is that the the one that you can order separately comes with a sword, but the one that comes with the Ultimate Collector's Edition of 15, it comes with a spear.
Yep,
And I
that's
think,
basically it.
That's a little. That's great.
hmm.
Yeah, nothing particularly special.
Well, I feel like, there's probably a lot of people out there. I mean, considering how fast that Ultimate Collector's Edition sold, that, really gotta have, that figure. They really want that figure, that, and that weapon too. They, maybe I mean, let's face it, like they have the money and they want to show off, maybe. Um,
Yeah,
so
I
have
mean, if they
you,
want to spend another $150 for another figure, I guess they could.
have you ordered play arts in the past, or
Yep.
what's your experience been with them?
I mean, to be honest, it's been kind of mixed. Some of the ones based on the third party properties, like they make a lot of figures based on non-Square Enix properties that are actually pretty well done. Like, I have an Uncharted one of Nathan Drake,
Mm-hmm.
and he's actually pretty good quality. On the other hand, some of them, like I have Virgil from Devil May Cry 3. That one, not so much quality. And I think what else? The Tomb Raider one I have that I got for free. It's all right. It could be better.
Didn't you
Um,
say you had both your? I think you
that's
did.
actually not. I have the old version of the PlayArts version of
Ooh.
him, and that's not the Kai one.
Ah,
That
okay.
actually comes out in November.
Hmm.
And I am getting it just because it's Beltier.
It's Belfair, yeah.
uh, but yeah, like I said, it's kind of the quality is kind of hit and miss. I feel, which is really unfortunate because they've really been raising the prices on them lately.
Oh, it was like what would you expect to pay maybe like a couple years ago, as opposed to now? Like, do you have any? How much are we talking?
Man, definitely less than $100. And now it seems like all their big figures coming out are $150 or more.
Yeah, once it's over 100, I'm like, no, I'm not not interested in that.
Even like a couple of years ago, or even a year ago, they had some of the Advent Children ones come out, and those were like $80, like definitely less than 100.
I may know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what do you have, Galen? Or excuse me,
Oh
Michael.
man, I have so many clouds. You have no idea.
Really? How many clouds do you have?
Yes. I had this one, the resin figure they put out like way long ago. I have one of Cloud was Advent Children costume and Fenrir. I have one of him in Crisis Core. I think I have another one too.
Did they ever release that one of him in Crisis Core as a figure?
Yeah, I mean I think so. I have it, so
Oh.
I assume they did.
I don't know. I was thinking
I have a Shinra Grunt costume. It's pretty great.
you should. I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't remember ever seeing that. But
Yeah, and I think last year they released a new Advent Children one that's, I guess, more detailed.
Yeah, the one I have is pretty nice. Fenrir takes up a lot of freaking shelf space, though, let me tell you.
And was it next year? I think they're releasing the Final Fantasy VII Remake Cloud, so you'll have another one to buy.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say with these collector's editions. I already am putting money away for Final Fantasy VII Remakes collector's edition. Whatever it is, the biggest one, best one, I'm getting. I'm getting that, no doubt.
Yeah, I agree.
It's my baby. So. Oh, I also have the Dissidia version of Cloud sitting right here somewhere. So.
oh, you're gonna have
Those are actually pretty cool.
You know, you should take a picture of all of your clouds and then tweet it to me, and then we'll show our Nova Crystallis audience
Yeah, I'll go.
the amount of your clouds.
Storage.
Do you have them all stored away, or just?
Yeah, right now I have a bunch of them stored away. I want my resin figure out, and this what other cloud thing I have? They put these potions out in those cans like several years ago
yeah.
at Comic-Con. My girlfriend at the time actually got me a can of cloud potions, so I have that sitting on my desk too.
Oh my god.
Oh, those potions.
You have no idea.
I remember those.
What did they taste
It's
like?
pretty cool. Oh man, I wouldn't know. It's unopened.
Ooh. Potion gone bad, maybe?
Oh man, I hope not.
Probably wouldn't try to drink it now.
No, I don't think so. I remember hearing they're like a citrusy type thing, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, like, if you, I'm sure that a huge bulk of the cost of this collector's or ultimate collector's edition is that PlayArts Kai figures. So I mean, I guess if you feel that's worth it, then yeah, I guess have they reopened any sort of orders on that?
I think you can get on the waiting list, and that's about it.
So no guarantees then. Yeah, so I mean, I'm gonna weigh my options and see what's going on. But I here's the thing though, I really like the amount of steel case, and it's like you don't get that with the Ultimate Collector's Edition. You get like the CG renders on them. If you
I was noticing that too. Like the $80 collector's edition, it appeals to me way more than the really expensive one because I don't really care about the Noctis figure,
hmm I think
and
that
the
figure
Steelbook
like
is really cool. So
that pretty much makes or breaks like that Ultimate Collector's Edition. Like if you want that figure, you're getting that edition, and I think if you're anywhere less than thrilled on that, other than saying that you have it, then you're probably gonna opt for that deluxe edition. So yeah, I'm probably gonna mull that over, but we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, I mean, I still have an order for mine, and
I mean, I guess we have time, right?
yeah, we do have time. And I guess at the end of the day, even if I do get it, I could always just sell it, I guess.
I kind of wonder, what the situation was with them running out, and I wanted to see if at any point in the future that they would make more, but I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that maybe I will go with that deluxe edition.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they're not going to be like, okay, well, here's the season pass, you're spending a lot of money, and we feel like, you guys should get this too. Because I think, if I'm thinking right, a lot of other games have done that where if you buy the biggest version or the most expensive one, they do give you the season pass with it. But
Yeah.
Square hasn't really said anything, so it's hard to say.
Well, here's hoping that they clarify at Gamescom. I mean, that's so. When is Gamescom exactly?
Hold on, let me pull up the date. It starts this upcoming week.
I think it's around the 18th, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
Gamescom is pretty huge, and we're gonna have some stuff going on there too. So, look forward to stuff on NovaCrystallis.com that we're kind of in the works preparing. So,
okay, so it goes through the 17th through the 21st.
yeah, that's pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, what do you think we can expect for Final Fantasy 15? Like, do you think they're gonna pop out a new trailer?
I think we'll get a new trailer. Hopefully, an actual story trailer because game was supposed to come out next month. There really hasn't been a big story trailer in a long time, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like at this point they probably need one.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Like, we really need something to really drive us home. Like, we need something that's cut a lot like how Nomura cut trailers, where like maybe like the first half is just kind of setting up these cutscenes, and then the momentum builds and builds, and then you interweave more battle scenes, and then it ends on some revelation or something like that. And that's generally seems like how he cuts a lot of Kingdom Hearts and his earlier Final Fantasy trailers.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely need something with exposition and something that has a bit of a narrative to it to get people interested in the game story, which, again, I feel like they've said a couple things about it, but I still feel like it's sort of kind of this nebulous thing at the moment.
In what way?
I don't know. I feel like, and I might be wrong about this, but I feel like and I think we've talked about this before, but I feel like the story is kind of taken a back seat in this game.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. We were a bit
Yeah.
worried, like Kingsglaive would
Yes.
overshadow. Yeah, excuse me.
Like it almost feels like they've taken the story and put it into these other things like the anime and the movie and what have you, and then for the game we're kind of left wondering, well, what is there?
I guess my number one fear is like we have this opening, we have this chapter 0 that we know about. We don't know too much about it quite yet. There have been some chatterings about leaked stuff that you might want to avoid, and we're not going to talk about it here, but as far as we know, there's like a chapter 0 that starts before, you have like, what was played at maybe like Judges Week or a demo places before, where you're kind of pushing the car, breaks down, blah blah blah. It goes from there. So I'm kind of curious, like, okay, so if that happens, I really hope it's not like 5 hours of fetch quests before we have a cutscene, and then move to a new area, and then 5 hours of fetch quests there. And
Yeah, that's honestly my biggest worry because, like I said, they really haven't done enough to show that, hey, this is the narrative and this is why you want to play this game.
I also think that they really got to figure out some way to up the stakes by, not having them just like read about this invasion event in a newspaper or whatever. And I know, maybe we're being a bit unfair there. Like, we haven't seen that play out a little bit more, but it seems
I
like,
mean, I feel like we saw enough to say, okay, this is extremely awkward and just not very
I don't know.
good.
To me, well, I got to see more. I feel like the jury's still out on whether, I feel that I mean, it really all has to do with how they position Kingsglaive. So, I mean, if they can, it's gonna be weird. Like,
Well, that whole situation's weird already anyway, because at first they were like, oh no, you don't need to see the movie to get the whole picture, and now they're like, well, you should probably see the movie first.
yeah, I mean, they've definitely kind of re-clarified on, the importance of the movie, and I guess maybe you could see them saying, hey, well, we didn't mean to say like the movie is unimportant. I mean, probably spend a lot of money on it. So I mean, obviously they want to.
They probably want people to go see it.
Yeah,
So
you might want to see this. And I'm sure it's important to, framing the context of all of the stuff that's happening in the game. But, I just hope that everything hasn't been stripped away to make Kingsglaive a great movie, but kind of take what is good about Final Fantasy 15 and just kind of strip it of what, like this dramatic opening Asian event was originally planned back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we'll have to see.
2 more months of speculation.
And, I feel like I can wait. Like, when I first heard about this, I didn't, automatically sink into despair or do some crazy things like, blow up a site's comments with extremely weird, extremely inappropriate comments.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if you're listening to this right now, of course you probably know what we're talking about, but people will move on. They'll
They
in a
will,
week.
and at the end of the day, all it comes down to is people don't remember delays for video games. They remember games that are bad or broken or have problems, and that's what Square probably wants to avoid.
Yeah, I totally
Exactly.
forgot that Uncharted 4 was delayed so many times until you mentioned it. I was like, oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it did happen, and at the end of the day, we got a fantastic game. So,
Sure did.
like, delays don't bother me. If the developer needs more time to make their game good, then let them have it. It's better than releasing a broken game and then being upset about that.
I've seen a lot of people talking about how you should just release the game on your regular date and then like fix it with like patches.
Yeah,
And I
because
don't think
that
that's the mentality you want.
Yeah, that's actually the same mentality that they had when they released Final Fantasy 14 1.0. They're like,
Yup.
oh, okay, well, we'll just put it out there and we promise we'll patch it and think everything's gonna be all right.
it's
And
Final Fantasy, they'll buy it.
yes, it's Final Fantasy. They will buy it, and the reality was no, that that didn't happen. People, especially in the age of today with social media and everyone
Mhm.
connected to the internet, people get wind of these type of things pretty quickly. I think one of the more recent examples was one of the Assassin's Creed games think it was Unity, where
It was Unity.
yeah, they released it. It was broken, and unfortunately, the reception for that game was unfavorable, and it damaged sales of the next game, which was actually, from what I hear, was actually better. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, the Unity was the first Assassin's Creed game I ever skipped, and it was because of word of mouth. I think it goes to the old saying, like, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yep,
So you always
exactly.
want to get it out in the best way possible, on the right foot, delay it if you have to, because we're only going to get to play it the first time once.
Exactly. And with 15, they really they can't even afford Bethesda level bugs at this point, I think.
So Michael, doesn't Miyamoto have a quote about something like this regarding like how Zelda was handled? Like, you know, a delayed game is eventually good and a bad game is bad forever. Maybe I'm misquoting, but was that Miyamoto?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
so I
infamous
mean,
quote.
yeah. Go ahead. Which Zelda
Oh,
was that for, by the way? I'm curious. All
uh,
of them?
I don't know if that was actually for Zelda. I mean, the quote is a delayed game is eventually good. A bad game is bad
Hmm.
forever. Don't remember if that was for a Zelda game or if that was just like a general statement he made at one point. But I mean,
I
it
could see that.
definitely applies to like all the Zelda games that have been, delayed forever. So
Well, my take on all this is that,
yeah, it was from 2012. It's like a few years ago. It's more recent. I thought it was older than that, but I guess it was an interview he did with the Guardian,
hmm,
and there was no Zelda game, and that was being delayed in 2012. Skyward Sword had already come out, so yeah,
like I feel this is the lesson that they've learned, and it's good that they've learned it. Um, I guess the only worry I have so far is that, and my big takeaway now is that it's not so much is this delay real. To me, it's real, and it's a good thing in a way that they're having some extra time to maybe get the game out where they want it, and maybe if this Neo thing is true, you know it's a good launch title for Neo, I guess. If you're ready to jump into PS4, what better when with the new Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah, that's
And
true.
who knows if that's the case, but at this point, I feel like this delay is a good thing, and if it means that it's going to be better for the game to be well, in a non-terrible state, then yeah, I'm all for it. Even something maybe into like March of next year. You know, this game needs to be this game needs to be done right. I feel that all this time that we've been waiting, for good or for bad, like if they don't give this their all, then what's the point of all this? Like, maybe, if you're not going to do it right, maybe you should have just canceled it 5 years ago. And who knows, maybe that's what should have happened, but you know, maybe Square should have canceled A Realm Reborn and said, you know what, just forget about 14. We'll just bury it and forget about it. And that's not what they did. They said, we've done wrong by our fans, and we want to make this right, and they did. You know, but with 15, it's like they're at a situation now. It's like, okay, well, they have to make it good because there are so many expectations, and of course, they're not going to reach them all because, well, as we all know, that a lot of them are going to be unreasonable. But I feel that if they're able to just deliver on these core tenets of Final Fantasy, like the story, the characters, the presentation of the world, at least some fun combat. Doesn't have to be like the most groundbreaking thing ever, but at least something that ties it all together, has a decent ecosystem, immerses you in the world. If they can pull all this off, then I'm sold. And all of this stuff about collector's editions, all of this stuff about season passes, or all of this frilly bullshit, like it doesn't matter to me. I just want this game to have that cohesive vision deliver on itself. And if it can't do that, then, you know, delay it until it has to. I mean, spend all that money already.
Yeah,
Then
I mean, I agree with you. I feel basically like if they have to delay it again after this initial delay, that's fine. I mean, there's plenty of other games to play. It's not like I'm gonna sit here twiddle my thumbs and be like, oh well, why can't I be playing Final Fantasy 15 right now?
right. Well, I mean,
you know,
I guess the true reason that they delayed it is just, they had to make room for World of Final Fantasy.
right? I mean, people sort of, and not everyone, obviously, but
Hmm.
some people really kind of overreacted to this information.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a little bit. And it's sad because those same people would be so upset if the game comes out and it's not technically sound. And the other sad part is they're ignoring all these other games that Square's going to put out. And it's like, well, you guys begged for all these games last generation when they weren't even around, and now that they're here, I mean, why aren't you paying attention to them?
And you touched on something really important because I wanted to kind of vent about this too because I see this bullshit in forums all over the internet. Like, well, Star Ocean got a 7 from this outlet. Well, I guess we'll pass. Guess I'll
Oh
pass.
my gosh,
I'll
yeah.
pass on like Nier. I'll pass on like Dragon Quest Heroes. I'll pass on this. I'll pass on that. Well, where'd all the games go? It's like, well, you kind of
Give them a
enable
chance.
this.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I mean, and like this I am Setsuna thing too. Like, is people once people saw like 1.7 or 1.8, it's like, well, it's not Chrono Trigger Reborn, so pass. It's like
No,
you guys are missing out on a great game. I really
yeah,
think that, and sure, I'll be honest. Like, there's a lot of games that kind of Metacritic or average score around the 7 or 8 games that at least do one or two interesting things that a lot of games that maybe get 9 or 10s don't because they kind of play it safe. And that's my worry is that, we're going to kind of put ourselves back in the situation where, yeah, like Square's only going to release maybe like a Final Fantasy or a Kingdom Hearts, and that's it. Like, look at all the stuff that's coming out. We've got like World of Final Fantasy, have, a bunch of HD remasters, but we can have stuff like Near Automata, which is like, whoever thought that was going to come back? Like, my
yeah. That was really surprising. Definitely one of my biggest surprises of last year. It's like, oh hey, this game that didn't sell well at all, we're making another one.
and we're putting all of this talent behind it, like Platinum. They're gonna make it. We're gonna have Yoshida do character designs. We're gonna have Yoko Taro direct it. Taro Yoko, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, not even that, but just other stuff that's come over, like more of the Dragon Quest games, and you've got World of Final Fantasy that some people are like, oh, I don't know, it just
Yeah, it's not.
doesn't look
Could get
doesn't
a
look like
7 or 8.
it's worth my time. And
It looks adorable and actually pretty fun, by the way. That's just my opinion.
like, I saw somebody say that it's like not what they see in Final Fantasy, and I thought to myself, well, I mean, it's basically drawing upon all the classic Final Fantasy games that everybody keeps whining about to come back. So, I mean, what do you want at that point?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like they whine so much, but then do you show up at the door when you get what you want? I don't know. It's one of those frustrating things that almost makes me say, screw this like throwing back to like this turn-based whatever. People they've had that, and if they want it, they'll go back to like Final Fantasy 6 or like a remaster of it or whatever. And Square should just focus on making like a new experience. Like why can't they just do that? And I feel like a lot of these new things like they take such a huge gamble on them. Like it's and I'm glad that they do. I'm glad that they can have kind of the best of both worlds right now. Like they can have like these fun throwback games like World of Final Fantasy stuff on the mobile side that's actually pretty deep keeper. Think of that what you will, but I'm glad that there's that stuff that they can put out like at the middle level, and then have like the big stuff like Final Fantasy 15 that's doing something really different for the series. Hopefully, for the genre large, but the jury's still out on that one too. But I think that's another topic as well.
Yeah, we'll just have to see when it finally comes out and we can finally play it.
Mm-hmm.
So with Gamescom coming up, I guess like we'll make this our final go around topic, and I'll start with Michael this time. So what do you want? What do you want them to show out of Final Fantasy 15 this week, knowing that this delay is coming? What would you like to see?
Story, a little bit more story stuff. Bosses, if they're gonna have more bosses in the game somehow, like boss fights would be kind of cool. And maybe if they're gonna have more dungeon type environments, kind of like the cave we all saw in Dusky, maybe more of that type of stuff, or also the military base that that one gameplay video is from, with like the stealth Metal Gear part. So those are the three things I'd like to see.
How about you, Mike?
I think I'm going to echo the story sentiment. I think that's what most people want to see from it right now. Anything else from it? I mean, I'm pretty, I'm pretty over like trying to get hyped for the game, I guess. So, I want to see stuff we haven't seen before. I guess that's basically it.
So Erren, and I know this is a tall order, but what do you think that Tabata-san needs to bring to Gamescom to really explain to people, like, yeah, okay, so this is going to be worth that 2 month delay. This is going to be worth that 10-year wait. This is going to be the game that you've really wanted for all this time.
Well, like everyone else said, I think they really need to hit it out of the park with a good trailer and one that focuses on the story. And like Galen said, just new content. Stop showing us this guy. I feel like it's been over a year and a half, and that's basically all they've been showing. And it's like, well, we've seen this and we've seen this and we're tired of this. Please show us something new, because when you don't show anything new after a while, it gives the sense that there isn't anything else to show. And I know that's not true, but they need to show it.
Yeah, and I guess to wrap it all up, I totally agree with what everyone's saying. I need a hook for the story. I don't feel very emotionally connected to these characters as much as I did with like some of the older 15 and versus. Whatever you say about Nomura, like the way he edits his trailers, he does it in a very compelling way. And maybe that's not the case for everyone, but it definitely fills me with a sense of intrigue about where the story and characters are. And lately, I really haven't been getting that vibe from a lot of the material that they've been putting out there. So I need something that really is gonna throw me behind these four guys and just lets me know that like I want to have spend 40 to 60 hours with these guys, and I really want to see where this is going, rather than and like I said before, I love seeing this like development process stuff, but at the same time I feel like we haven't had the other side of the spectrum where I need something that's very polished and something that's intriguing and kind of has that Nomura hook. So yeah, I need to see a good story trailer. That's my number one. And if I get that, then yeah, I'll be hyped for November. So guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. I want to thank Michael, Mike, and Erren for joining us once again to talk about Final Fantasy for over 90 minutes, which should be an interesting show for you guys. And please feel free to leave any comments or suggestions for this show. That includes topics too, so leave them in the YouTube comments, SoundCloud topic, the SoundCloud comments too, and also on the site. We'll have this on the site too, probably either Monday or Tuesday, and so that'll come after whatever official announcement that they have to make regarding this delay. So on the site too, we also have some other cool stuff. I played through Mobius Final Fantasy, like the first couple hours of it. If you want to see my gameplay video and some of like the explanation of what's going on here, that's there too. We also have some of those clips of Kingsglaive. If you want to check those out, definitely check those out too. And we have even more clips of World of Final Fantasy that I put up of some really cute monsters, and I'm really digging that game so far. So I'm really excited to play that in October. So thanks again, everyone, for listening to another episode of Looking Forward to It. Check out the rest of our episodes, and we'll see you next time.